This is the Griffin Realty Group Ask-A-Griffin podcast, episode number 68. Why should all communication systems be built for the long term? Are you a home buyer or home seller who has questions about selling or buying residential property, or maybe an agent who needs direction, but you can't find an easy way to get your answers? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Griffin Realty Group and the host of the Ask-A-Griffin podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, if you need to sell or buy property right now or in the near future, or you want to become a real estate agent, you can take advantage of our free step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. That's Griffin courses.com. All right, let's get started. Why should all communication systems be built for the long term? Well, the first point here is it's because the change in the industry that really made everything have to be about the long term was when the internet became the place where consumers could get access to properties for sale. And that was a new phenomenon when the internet came along, because for years, the business was predicated on you going to your local brokerage, sitting down with somebody who had a list of properties that were for sale. In fact, I've been around the business long enough where early on as an investor and then a licensed real estate agent, we had a book that would be printed every 2 weeks. I mean, physically printed. And you would sit down and you would go through that, and everything, all the details were in there. It was a picture of what soon became digitized. Well, once it became digitized, a buyer or seller whimsically could begin to start their search. So I always like to say that little box on Google, that little white box, the minute you have a seedling of thought, you can go straight to that little white box and type it in. So you might type in Beacon Hill Homes for sale, Cape Cod Homes for sale. And the next thing you know, you're online, and the whole phenomenon of lead capture or forced entry, you might exchange your contact information as a consumer for access to this information. And of course, that's not necessary. That's the company that you're getting access through, just trying to capture information so they can turn you into a lead, meaning a contact that they don't know much about you, but hopefully they can talk to you and see if there's a potential to become one of their clients. So the internet changed it all. And that's what happened. So everything can start very early on. So you can imagine that if I start early on and you pick up the phone and call me, well, it's not as soon as it was before. See, I might walk into your office and say, I want to buy a house. So let's go start seeing houses. Well, you're much further along. But on the internet, you say, I'm thinking about it. Well, why were you thinking about it? Well, I'm really thinking about downsizing, and I think it's time. Well, that's great. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you? Well, I don't know. I'm a 6. Really? Why so low? Well, I just haven't seen where I want to go yet, and that's why I was looking online. That could be a very typical conversation now. So you have people that are much less motivated as far as their timing is concerned that need longer term follow-up. So the second point here is that you have to understand that long-term follow-up is there because you must earn the business as an agent over a much longer period of time. So on the internet, the concept and what the internet is really famous for is forcing marketers to give away their best information for free. Now, typically that's the what to do information or pictures and details. The how to do it is more sophisticated. That's the service of the real estate agent. You want to know how to do it or how I would do it, then you're going to have to get with me. You're going to have to see some properties. Let me come over to your house as a potential listing agent, and you're going to hear from me. But now I have this process. We're going back to my scenario before. We have somebody who says 6 that wants to downsize. Well, what do I have to do? I have to continuously give them information that will educate them over the long run. So giving away the best stuff for free is really mastering the obvious. In other words, most people want to know how the market's doing. So we put together, for example, a market update of these areas that we cover. So we can put them on a monthly market update. So we keep them up to date with the basic statistics so that they can see, instead of guessing, is it a buyer's market or seller's market, which is sort of a silly way to look at it, they can look more specifically. What is the direction of the average price? The days a house lasts on the market? The average sold price to its asking price, right? What's the difference between the two? Those are meaningful specifics versus wandering generalities, right? That's the whole concept here. So if I start to give a monthly market update over that time, I'm in front of that person with helpful information. Again, my best curated how's the market information for free. Next, if that person has a house that they want to sell, it makes sense for me to follow up and send them, not just blindly send them this information, but send it and then follow up with some insight, all the specifics on properties that might affect them. So, for example, if they lived in Beacon Hill in Boston and they lived in a certain area of the hill, they might want to know what sells on Mount Vernon Street where their house is. They might want to know what sells in Oyster Harbors in Osterville where their house is. So I might be sending them automated updates from MLS via email, or I might even, more importantly, print out some from time to time and send them all of this digitized information physically. I like to do both. Send you a physical package, back it up with the digital. So I'm earning this business by following up, by simply just being their market expert. They want to know how the market is. I'm more than willing over the long term to play that out, right? And finally, in this point here, it's more easy than ever to win business in a competitionless long-term follow-up. Now, let me explain this because a lot of agents get confused. The concept of long-term follow-up is lost on most people. Everybody wants instant gratification. I'll be careful with everybody because I realize that that might happen from a blue moon to a blue moon, but that typically most competitors won't stick with longer-term follow-up. And I'm just talking inside of 12 months for right now. I have a system that could go a very long time, but just to be reasonable, let's say that somebody's going to actually buy or actually sell inside of 12 months. Well, if I meet that person early on, I provide the how's the market, property specifics on what they're trying to think about buying or where they're selling, and then I give them a copy of my buyer or seller plan, and then I digitize that for a longer term follow-up. So I might give them a physical package to start and digitize it, and then at a frequency that's right, sort of the Goldilocks formula, not too hard, not too soft, just right on the follow-up saying, hey, did you get that information? Did you see this? Did you see that? Because it's all relevant to them. Well, guess what? I don't have any competition doing that. I mean, nobody's really following up doing that. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have any competition when I do that, because they might get referred somebody who might start to talk to them. They might stumble into a friend who's a realtor. But if I've been the one doing it like this, it's very rare that I have any competition doing it like that. So it's a very important concept to set up long-term follow-up that gives the consumer your best information for free with respect to how the market's doing, what's happening around them or in the area they want to buy, and giving them seller or buyer tips, period. That's it. Very simple. That's what it should be predicated on. So let me go and reiterate. The question on the table, why should all communication systems be built for the long term? The answer is because the internet allows the consumer to start so much earlier that most of them aren't even remotely close to ready, let alone ever going to be ready. Second point is, because of that, you must learn to earn business over a longer period of time. So you need longer term follow-up because you have to give away your best stuff for free and stay in there. And the benefit of that is the third point, because it's more easy than ever to win business in a competitionless long-term follow-up lane like that. Let me summarize it this way. The moment that buyer and seller consumers gained access to the property information online, they could start their process for buying or selling much earlier, which requires real estate agents to build long-term follow-up systems that ensure competition-less business in the long run. All right, remember, you can take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you need to sell or buy property right now or in the very near future, or you're an agent who wants help by getting our free step-by-step guides at griffincourses.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen, or find us on any of our social media channels so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We'd also appreciate it if you would comment and share on our content with anyone thinking about buying or selling, or share this stuff, please, if you can, with anybody selling, buying, or trying to become an agent. If we have this free stuff out there and you know somebody, please do them a service and send it. But remember this, as we always say when we sign off on our podcast anywhere, nobody's coming for you. Nobody. So take action and get to work on a plan for buying, selling, or becoming a successful real estate agent. And we will see you in the next episode to help you do just that. Thanks again.